Hi everyone, welcome back to my daily vlogs of Skyrim Special Edition V 10th anniversary Special Edition Special Edition V 10th anniversary edition. This is on PS5 Expo 32. We are starting as Dawnguard, so we basically we level 9. I'm doing a mod, so basically, guys, that's what I'm doing. So basically, I'm level A9, by the way, so blah blah blah. Basically, yes, so I was here. I'm gonna show you guys. Chasing chaos, pizza drama. And I am trying to lucky her mother, who may have one of the short. Our journey has taken us to the courtyard of the door, where we discovered an hidden entrance underneath the an old model. Okay. Now we're going to talk to her.
Then the rest is up to me. Are you ready to go? I'm not entirely sure what this thing is going to do when I add my blood.
Can I ask you something first?
Of course. What is it?
What will you do? What will you do if we find your mother?
I've been asking myself the same thing since we came back to the castle. She was so sure of what we did to my father. I couldn't help but go along with her. I never thought of the cost.
It sounds like she's seen everything for you.
Possibly. I guess even a vampire mother is still a mother. She worried about me. About all of us. But she wanted to get me as far away from my father as possible before he really went over the edge.
We won't know until we find her.
Yes, you're right.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I just didn't expect anyone to care how I felt about her.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are we ready then?
Alright, let's see the portal open.
Alright, here goes. Ancestors.
Here.
Created a portal with a soul cave. Incredible.
So I want to. There we go. No. Let's go down.
Are you alright? That looked painful.
It was. What happened?
Now that I think about it, I should have expected that. Sorry. It's hard to describe. The soul cairn is... well, hungry, for lack of a better word. It's trying to take your life essence as payment.
So there's no way in then?
There might be, but I don't think you're going to like it. Vampires aren't counted among the living. I could probably go through there without a problem.
Are you saying that I need to become a vampire?
Not your first choice, I guess?
There has to be another way? Maybe.
Maybe. We could just pay the toll another way. It wants a soul, so we give it a soul.
Yours?
Yours.
Wouldn't that kill me?
My mother taught me a trick or two. I could partially soul trap you and offer that gem to the ideal masters. It might be enough to satisfy them. It would make you a bit weaker when we travel through the soul cairn, but we might be able to fix that once we're inside. Maybe.
Those are my own options?
I'm sorry. I wish I knew a better way, something that would be easier for you. Just know that whatever path you choose, I won't think any less of you. Sometimes things just have to be done. I know that better than anybody. What now?
So tell me, I won't feel right yet. Your mother keep going.
Not that I ever saw. My mother had a bit of a thing for magical constructs. Not what you're thinking. She just found them fascinating. The Soul Cairn is a tiny sliver of oblivion, the realm of the Daedra. It's ruled by unseen beings known as the Ideal Masters. Honestly, I don't know. Necromancers are always interested in souls, though, so that probably has some kind of interest. Nobody really knows. As far as I've heard, no one's seen them and returned to Tamriel to tell about it. I've read stories. Stories about fools that manage to communicate with them. You give the Ideal Masters souls, they give you powers to summon the undead. It's all very businesslike. Because most of the stories end with the Ideal Masters duping the necromancers, who end up dead or wishing they were dead. I had no idea her laboratory even existed. She had an alchemy set up in her drawing room, but nothing that even comes close to what's here. Looking at the equipment and materials, it looks like she was trying to advance her necromancy. I don't know. Certainly not longevity. Kind of a waste of time for a vampire. There's not a whole lot to tell. You've already seen my father's obsession. My mother's not a whole lot better, but you'll see that soon enough. My father... No, not really. I did spend a lot of time with my mother, but she saw me more like a protege than a daughter. What about you? What were your parents like? I know how that feels. I mean, I know it isn't the same thing, but I was a pretty lonely child myself. Not as much. Let's just keep going. Oh, what is it? Are you sure? I'm willing to do it, but you need to think it through. You'll remain mortal, but you'll find yourself weakened within the soul cairn. I understand. Take your time. Are you sure? You'd become the very thing. Turning someone is a very... personal thing for vampires. I don't want you to feel like I'm forcing you into this. Let's not waste too much time then. I promise to try and make this as painless as possible. Hold still.
Hang on a second. Hang on. Let me lower that. Damn that. Okay, hang on. Hang on a second, guys. Let me. Yeah, I'm gonna just. I gotta do this over again. Alright, you know. Let's run through here.
Be careful.
Fucker. Fat fucker. You can't kill me, damn shit. You do it. Try and kill me, you go ahead. Try. Dare you. I don't want to wait, fucker. Can't kill me. Stupid fucker. Yeah, we can get it. Here they go. Yeah, you did fall. Bitch.
Who's there? Look at this place. This has to be it. I knew she was deep into necromancy. I mean, she taught me everything I know. But I had no idea she had a setup like this. Look at all this. She must have spent years collecting these components. And what's this thing? I'm not sure about this circle, but it's obviously something. Let's take a look around. You found her journal. Let me take a look at it. I only know what she told me. She had a theory about soul gem. The soul cairn is home to very powerful beings. Necromancers send them souls and receive powers of their own in return. My mother spent a lot of time trying. That's if I'm reading this right. There's a handful of... Oh, damn it. We're also going to need a not bad. We'd better hope that's good enough. Mistakes with these kind of portals can be... Anyway, enough of that. Let's get... Oh, good. Well then, let's head over to the portal vessel and I'll do the rest.
Yeah, if we become a vampire, we're gonna start with soul, guys. So basically.
Then the rest is up to me. Are you ready to go? I'm not entirely sure what this thing is going to do when I add my blood. Of course. What is it? I've been asking myself the same thing since we came back to the castle. She was so sure of what we did to my father. I couldn't help but go along with her. I never thought of the cost. Possibly. I guess even a vampire mother is still a mother. She worried about me. About all of us. But she wanted to get me as far away from my father as possible before he really went over the edge. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. I just didn't expect anyone to care how I felt about her. Thank you. Are we ready then? All right, here goes.
So it was in my soul, but then
By the blood of my ancestors. Created a portal with a soul. Incredible. Are you alright? That looked painful. Now that I think about it, I should have expected that. Sorry.
Sorry.
It's hard to describe. The soul cairn is... well, hungry, for lack of a better word. It's trying to take your life essence as payment.
So there's no other way then?
There might be, but I don't think you're going to like it. Vampires aren't counted among the living. I could probably go through there without a problem.
Are you saying that I need to become a vampire?
Not your first choice, I guess? Maybe. We could just pay the toll another way. They want a soul, so we give it a soul. Yours. My mother taught me a trick or two. I could partially soul trap you and offer that gem to the ideal masters. It might be enough to satisfy them. It would make you a bit weaker when we travel through the soul cairn, but we might be able to fix that once we're inside. Maybe. I'm sorry. I wish I knew a better way, something that would be easier for you. Just know that whatever path you choose, I won't think any less of you. Sometimes things just have to be done. I know that better than anybody. Yes? Are you sure? You'll remain mortal, but you'll... I know this is difficult for you. I hope you trust me. I'd never do anything that could hurt you. Thank you. Let's not waste any more time then. I promise to make this as painless as possible. Hold still. Where'd you come from? Stay back! Mother? Mother!
Mika, it can't be. Serana?
Is it really you? I can't believe it! How do we get inside? We have to talk.
Serana, what are you doing here? Where's your father?
He doesn't know we're here. I don't have time to explain.
I must have failed. Harkon's found a way to decipher the prophecy, hasn't he?
No, you've got it all wrong. We're here to stop him, to make everything right.
Wait a minute. You've brought a stranger here? Have you lost your mind?
No, you don't...
You, come forward. I would speak with you. So how has it come to pass that a vampire hunter is in the company of my daughter? It pains me to think you travel with Serana under the guise of her protector in an effort to hunt me down. Glorious. Serana claims you're her guardian, yet your first instinct appears to be greed. I see that my daughter is still as naive as ever. Serana has sacrificed everything to prevent Harkon from completing the prophecy. I would have expected her to explain that to you. You think I'd have the audacity to place my own daughter in that tomb for the protection of her elder scroll? The scrolls are merely a means to an end. The key to the tyranny of the sun is Serana herself. When I fled Castle Dawnguard, I fled with 2 Elder Scrolls. The scroll I presume you found with Serana speaks of Auriel and his arcane weapon, Auriel's bow. The second scroll declares that the blood of Cold Harbor's daughter will blind the eye of the dragon. Like myself, Serana was a human once. We were devout followers of Lord Molig Bal. Tradition dictates the females be offered to Molig Bal on his summoning day. Few survive the ordeal. Those that do emerge as a pure-blooded vampire. We call such confluences the Daughters of Cold Harbor. Now you're beginning to see why I wanted to protect Serana, and why I've kept the other Elder Scroll as far from her as possible. If Harkon obtained Auriel's bow, and Serana's blood was used to taint the weapon, the tyranny of the sun would be complete. In his eyes, she'd be dying for the good of all vampires. And how exactly do you plan on stopping him? If you believe that, then you're a bigger fool than I originally suspected. Don't you think I weighed that option before I enacted my plans? You care nothing for Serana, or our plight. Whether or not you've become one of us in order to survive the Soul Cairn, you're still a vampire hunter at heart. You're here because we're abominations in your mind. Evil creatures that need to be destroyed. Serana? This stranger aligns himself with those that would hunt you down and slay you like an animal. Yet I should entrust you to him.
This stranger has done more for me in the brief time I've known him than you've done in centuries.
How dare you? I gave up everything I cared about to protect you from that fanatic you call a father.
Yes, he's a fanatic. He's changed. But he's still my father. Why can't you understand how that makes me feel?
If you only open your eyes, your father discovers your role in the prophecy, that he needs your blood, you'll be in terrible danger.
So to protect me, you decided to shut me away from everything I cared about. You never asked me if hiding me in that tomb was the best course of action. You just expected me to follow you blindly. Both of you were obsessed with your own paths. Your motivations might have been different, but in the end, I'm still just a pawn to you two. I want us to be a family again. But I don't know if we can ever have that. Maybe we don't deserve that kind of happiness. Maybe it isn't for us. But we have to stop him before he goes too far. And to do that, we need the Elder Scroll.
I'm sorry, sir.
I
didn't know. I didn't see. I've allowed my hatred of your father to estrange us for too long. Forgive me. If you want the Elder Scroll, it's yours. Your intentions are still somewhat unclear to me, but for Serana's sake, I'll assist you in any way that I can.
You have that with you?
Yes. I've kept it safely secured here ever since I was imprisoned. Fortunately, you're in a position to breach the barrier that surrounds these ruins. You need to locate the tallest of the rocky spires that surround these ruins. At their bases, the barrier's energy is being drawn from unfortunate souls that have been exiled here. Destroy the keepers that are tending them, and it should bring the barrier down. One more word of warning. There's a dragon that calls itself Durnevere roaming the cairn. The Ideal Masters have charged him with overseeing the Keepers, and will undoubtedly intervene if you're perceived as a threat. When I entered the Soul Cairn, I had intended to strike a bargain with the Ideal Masters, the custodians of this place. I requested refuge in the Soul Cairn, and in exchange, I would provide the Ideal Masters the souls that they craved. If I had foreseen the value they placed on my own soul, I would never have come here. The Ideal Masters unleashed their keepers and sent them to destroy me. Fortunately, I was able to hold them at bay and retreat into these ruins. Unfortunately, yes, since the keepers weren't able to claim my soul, they had their minions construct a barrier that I'd never be able to breach. Time has very little meaning. I suppose you could call this the ultimate waiting game. I know very little about them. They're mystic entities that lord over the Soul Cairn, controlling every aspect from its fabric to its appearance. While some necromancers believe they are the crystalline structures dotting the Soul Cairn, I believe there's more to it than that. I think they transcend what we perceive as a physical form. Perhaps they were once corporeal beings, but they've obviously reached a point where they no longer require a tangible presence. Conduits, through which the Ideal Masters speak to their underlings and feed on their victims. The Ideal Masters' weakness is their insatiable hunger for pure souls. It's the reason for the Soul Cairn's existence, and the only leverage a necromancer has when bargaining with them. The ability to summon powerful undead guardians, as one would conjure an Atronak or Daedra. However, the majority of necromancers that are foolish enough to enter into a bargain with the Ideal Masters wind up here. as harvested souls. As you've been traveling in the soul cairn, your body has become attuned. Let's just say a tiny part of you rubbed off on it, and in its place, a bit of the soul cairn filled the void. You should find no difficulty using the portal any longer. Harkon's vision is a world plunged in eternal darkness, where the vampire can flourish, and never again fear the tyranny of the sun. What he fails to realize is how much attention would be called to our kind if the prophecy came to fruition. If eternal night fell, there are many who wouldn't stand for it. They would raise armies in attempts to return things to normal. The order of the day would be our destruction, until every last vampire was hunted down and eliminated. I do. It's how the vampire has survived for millennia, and the only way we can continue to survive in the future. Be careful, and keep my daughter safe.
Let's kill those keeper things and get back to the prison.
You saved him! His soul is free, I can feel it! He's such a loyal beast. Here, I'll teach you how to call him to you. He'll help you get around this wretched place. But I'm sure he'd be much happier someplace sunnier. Goodbye, hero. Take good care of Arvak for me.
Such a good horse.
Such a good horse.
Bye, hero. Alright. So we do that. Is it? bone bow. Nice. Bone arrow.
Where'd you come from?
That was a good one. Come on. Let me pause. Hey. I'm gonna quick save this hit right here. We still got one more to do. But I don't know what. It's about my here, but I don't know. Oh yeah, I'm doing more, guys. Season 3. Yeah, I'm gonna come up. My time. That's right. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so this should be 605. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know if there got to be there should be a guy somewhere. Yeah, he like that, so I don't quite get it. Yeah.
Those keeper things and get back to the prison.
My ride on the prison ship, or was it before that? How does anyone expect me to write my opus with all of these rude interruptions? What do I mean, indeed? If I hadn't lost all of the pages, I wouldn't be in this predicament, and we wouldn't be having this conversation. Very well. I suppose a moment or two of my time couldn't hurt. I am Jib. Some call me Saint Jib. Others call me Jib the Eradicator. Perhaps you've heard of me. I can't say that I'm surprised by your answer. Until I get my second volume published, no one will ever know of my achievements. A book? I'd hardly call a 26-volume epic simply a book. Surely you've heard of the rise and fall of Saint Jib the Eradicator, hero of Morrowind and savior of the Dunmer. Maybe you should leave the writing to an expert. Stop making foolish suggestions. Terrible. Simply terrible. I was in the midst of writing the second volume, and they just threw me into this prison. It's unfair. That damned Remora and his minions. They didn't even give me a chance to explain who I was. I assume so. It cast a spell at me from some kind of strange black crystal. Next thing I knew, I arrived here. My what? Wait. That means... No. All these wasted months? Or has it been years? I don't even remember how much time has passed. No, my work will never see the light of day. My name will be forgotten. Perhaps Do you have a way out of here? Maybe I can't leave, but my writings can. In order to write the second volume of my opus, I need the notes from my first volume. Otherwise, I need to do all of this from memory. When I was tossed in here, I felt myself falling, and I dropped the pages I had been holding. There were 10 of them in all. Find them for me, please. I beg you. Well, that's a ridiculous question. Everyone traveling through here has said that the Oblivion Gates have been opening all over Tamriel. Has it been that long? Oh my. Well, it started with the followers of Mehrunes Dagon having Emperor Uriel Septim VII assassinated. Without a septim on the throne of the Empire, Dagon was able to leave Oblivion through the gates and attack. All I heard is that without a septim sitting on the throne of the Empire, the dragon fires in a place called the Temple of the One were no longer lit. This meant that we were vulnerable to the forces of Oblivion. Well, I don't know. Everything seemed fine until that Dremora attacked me. I only heard later about the gates from the other souls. I can only assume the gates have been closed by now. I had just moved from my ancestral home in Morrowind to the continent of Cyrodiil. I settled in the city of Kvatch to write my memoirs and to find some peace and quiet. Indeed, one moment I was writing diligently, and the next, my door bursts open. It was a cadre of Dremora. The city was under attack. I took it upon myself to join the cause and fight the Dremora, thinking this would simply be another feather in my cap. The reason I'm standing in front of you as only a whisper of my former self should tell you that. I never knew what became of Kvatch. I wonder if they were triumphant without me. Ah, yes. Say Jib the Eradicator, Jib the Magnificent. I've earned a lot of those titles thanks to my campaign against the Winged Menace. Yes, I'm speaking of the Cliff Racer, of course. Wretched things. They used to crisscross the skies over Morrowind like vermin. Nasty flying creatures with a habit of sneaking up on the unwary. After I was freed from prison, I decided to turn my life around. Give something back to the people of Morrowind. It became quickly apparent that the best way I could help would be by wiping out the Cliff Racers. Indeed I was. I hunted down and killed every last one of them. Took years. The people of Morrowind were so grateful to have the roads safer again. They took to calling me St. Jib, and many other names followed. That was a dark time in my life. I did a lot of things I ended up regretting. Maybe that's why I worked so hard to redeem myself once I was freed. I murdered others for money. And before you think I belong to some romantic or secretive guild, think again. I was simply an addict who needed money for school. Stuff wasn't cheap, and murder always seemed to be in demand. I finally bit off more than I could chew. was paid to assassinate some high-ranking official from House Redorin. What I didn't know is someone had hired the Morag Dong to kill Israel. Exactly. He got to my target first and called the guard to cover his tracks. By the time I got there, the place was on alert. Walked right into a trap and didn't even realize it until I was captured. They tried me for murder, threw me on a prison ship, and sent me to the jail in Vivek City. Gave me a lot of time to think, that's for sure. Thanks again for searching. I don't know what I'd do without my pages. When I rewrite those pages,
Where'd you come from? I'm gonna have to kill you. Again! Tough day for you. That'll teach you. Where'd you come from? Done and done.
I'll be back, guys. I'm going to the bathroom, and this is the gym. I'll be back. Yep. Sorry if I took so long. I just had to go to bed. We got 2 more videos. What do I? Then. Well, that was easy kill.
Who's there? I knew I heard something. The barrier should be gone now. Let's head back.
You did it. You have all of my pages. Finally! I never thought I'd see these again. These pages meant the world to me. Thank you. Now, Volume 2 begins. What else? Oh, wait a moment. Here, I want you to have these before you go. A pristine copy of my first volume. Only one in print, actually. And take this as well. Seeing as St. Jib has ascended to pure spiritual form, I won't need it any longer.
As soon as he did have.
You managed to destroy all 3 keepers? Very impressive. Yes. Please follow me. Keep watch for Durnevere. With the prison's barrier down, he's almost certain to investigate.
Here, defend yourselves!
Astonishment. But I never thought I'd witness the death of that dragon. Volumes written on Durnevere allege that he can't be slain by normal means. It appears they were mistaken. Yes. The soul of a dragon is as resilient as its owner's scaly hide. It's possible that your killing blow has merely displaced Durnevere's physical form while he reconstitutes himself. Minutes,
hours, years.
I can't even begin to guess. I suggest we don't wait around to find out. Now, let's get you the Elder Scroll, and you can be on your way.
That's it. That's the last scroll. Come on, let's take it to Dexion.
I have no choice. As I told you before, I'm a daughter of Cold Harbor. If I return to Tamriel, that increases Harkon's likelihood of bringing the tyranny of the sun to fruition. I appreciate your concern for me, but Serana is all that I care about. You must keep her safe at all costs. Remember that Harkon is not to be trusted. No matter what he promises, he'll deceive you in order to get what he wants. And promise me he'll keep my daughter safe. She's the only thing valuable.
Stay your weapons. I would speak with you, Quinarin.
I thought you were dead.
Cursed, not dead. Doomed to exist in this form for eternity. Trapped between us and the knock. Between life and death.
Why don't we speak?
I believe in civility among seasoned warriors, and I find your ear worthy of my words. My claws have rended the flesh of innumerable foes, but I have never once been felled on the field of battle. I therefore honor name you Quinarin, or Vanquisher in your tongue.
I found you,
your words do me great honor. My desire to speak with you was born from the result of our battle, Quinarin. I merely wish to respectfully ask a favor of you.
Yeah, favor.
For countless years I've roamed the Soul Cairn in unintended service to the Ideal Masters. Before this, I roamed the skies above Tamriel. I desire to return there. I fear that my time here has taken its toll upon me. I share a bond with this dreaded place. If I ventured far from the Soul Cairn, my strength would begin to wane until I was no more. I will place my name with you, and grant you the right to call my name from Tamriel. Do me this simple honor, and I will fight at your side as your Graze Mazen, your ally, and teach you my food.
Call your name in turn, that's it.
Trivial in your mind, perhaps.
For me, it would make a great deal.
It would mean a great deal. I don't require an answer, Quinarin. Simply speak my name to the heavens when you feel the time is right. In my language, the Quinarin is the Vanquisher, the one who has bested a fellow Dova in battle. You are the Dova King, the Dragonborn. You may not be one of us in body, but you have earned the right to bear this title. There was a time when I called Tamriel my home. but those days have long since passed. The Dova roamed the skies, vying for their small slices of territory that resulted in immense and ultimately fatal battles. I was, but unlike some of my brethren, I sought solutions outside the norm in order to maintain my superiority. I began to explore what the Dova call Elok Gillan, the ancient forbidden art that you call necromancy. The Ideal Masters assured me that my powers would be unmatched, that I could raise legions of the undead. In return, I was to serve them as a keeper until the death of the one who calls herself Valerica. I discovered too late that the Ideal Masters favor deception over honor, and had no intention of releasing me from my binding. They had control of my mind, but fortunately they couldn't possess my soul. Free? No. I have been here too long for Narin. The soul cairn has become a part of what I am. I can never fully call Tamriel my home again, or I would surely perish. I only hope that you will allow me the precious moments of time there, through your call.
There's not a whole lot to tell. You've met both of my parents. They're both crazy in their own way. It's not that simple. I guess it never is with families, is it? What about you? What were your parents like? I know how that feels. I mean, I know it isn't the same thing, but I was a pretty lonely child myself. It is. Let's just keep going.
I trust your journey was successful? I'm sorry, my friend. I can no longer be of use in this matter. It's my fault. In my haste to read the first scroll, I neglected the careful preparation required. I thought I'd be able to allay the after effects, but I was wrong. Now I am paying for it. Blind? Yes, I'm afraid so. No, it will have to run its course. And there's always the chance I may never recover. No, there is another way. The question is, how much are you willing to risk to find Oriel's bow? I can't guarantee you'll be free from harm. Becoming blind could be the least of your risks. Scattered across Tamriel are secluded locations known only as Ancestor Glades. There's one in Skyrim in the Pine Forest. Performing the ritual of the Ancestor Moth within the glade should provide the answers you seek. It involves carefully removing the bark from a canticle tree, which will in turn attract Ancestor Moths to you. Once enough of the moths are following, they'll provide you with the second sight needed to decipher the scrolls. In keeping with tradition, you must use a specific tool in the Ancestor Glade, an implement known as a draw knife. Every moth priest is taught this ritual, but few ever get the chance to perform it. You should consider yourself fortunate if it works for you. From what I saw in the vision, the Elder Scroll which foreshadows the defiance of the gods with the blood of mortals is the key to the prophecy. Sadly, yes. It is the inevitable fate we agree to pursue when reading the Elder Scrolls. It generally does not occur until a moth priest is in his latter years. But in my case, I simply was not preparing myself properly. Deciphering one of the Elder Scrolls is nothing like reading a simple book. There is quite a bit of ritual and concentration required. It can take months or even years to complete a single scroll, and even then, months to Well, as I'm sure you've figured out by now, it's no mere coincidence that we're named Moth Priests. The voice of the Ancestor Moth has always been an integral part of reading the Elder Scrolls. Oh, the moths don't literally read the scrolls, but they maintain a connection to ancient magic that allows the moth priests to decipher them. If you listen closely when you find the glade, you should be able to hear their song, a soft, harmonious trilling. By having the Ancestor Moths close to the moth priest, they can utilize the conduit and share the moth's augury. By having the Ancestor Moths close to the moth priest, they can utilize the conduit and share the moth's augury. Only the most resilient of priests can do it this way. It takes years of practice to interpret the harmony. You've come this far, and you've found several Elder Scrolls. Whether you believe it or not, the scrolls have a mind of their own. If they did not want you to find them, they would not allow it. Because of this, I strongly believe you were meant to hear the ancestral chorus. Only one way to find out. Good luck. I hope you find the answers you seek.
I hope we reach Ancestor Glade soon. Must be the place.
Yeah.
Not very impressive, is it? If this ends up being a wasted trip, your friend Dexian and I are gonna have some words when we get back. Wow. Look at this place. No one's been here in centuries. I doubt there's any other place like it in Skyrim. It's beautiful. All I need to do is track down one of those planting trees. Hope the moths like that bark as much as Dexian said they would. Look at them. They've definitely taken a liking to you. And unless I'm seeing things, you're starting to...
Yeah.
Let's head back up there and see if we can get some scrolls. Are you okay? I almost thought I lost you there. You went as white as the snow. Never trust. What about Ariel's bow? Then it's on the... Where is this Darkfall cave? Then let's get going. I want to get there before my father has a chance to... Not much. As far as I know, though, it's never been held by a vampire. That would be a new one. Ariel is one of the elven gods. The way I... Supposedly, the bow drop... That part, I don't know. I can't say it's... I just didn't know when. I've been assuming that's where all this is going. I've been trying to make my peace with it. Come on, we can talk about this another time. Who's there? These people. Why would anyone want to set up camp here? I wonder what happened to them. hear something?
I didn't hear anything. You hear? I hear things.
Come forward. You have nothing to fear here.
I can feel some kind of power from it.
I am Knight Paladin Gelabor. Welcome to the Great Chantry of Oriel. Oriel, Alkor Shakatosh, so many different names for the sovereign of the Snow Elves. I prefer Snow Elf. The name Falmer usually holds a negative meaning to most travelers. Those twisted creatures you call Falmer, I call the Betrayed.
Unless you know why we're here.
Of course. You're here for Oriel's bow. Why else would you be here? I can help you get it, but first, I must have your assistance. I need you to kill Archcurate Verther, my brother. The kinship between us is gone. I don't understand what he's become, but he's no longer the brother I once knew. It was the Betrayed. They did something to him. I just don't know why Oriel would allow this to happen. They swept into the Chantry without... The Chantry was a place of peaceful worship. I led a small group of paladins, but we were no match for the Betrayed's sheer numbers. They slaughtered everyone, and stormed the inner sanctum where I believe they could. He's alive. I've seen him, but something's wrong. He never looks as though he's in pain or under duress. He just stands there and watches, as though waiting. Leaving the way shrines unguarded would be violating my sacred duty as a Knight Paladin of Oriel, and an assault on the Betrayed guarding the inner sanctum would only end with my death. Yes, let me show you. This structure is known as a way shrine. They were used for meditation and for transport when the Chantry was a place of enlightenment. Prelates of these shrines were charged with teaching the mantras of Oriel to our initiates.
What's that basin in the center signify?
Once the initiate completed his mantras, he'd dip a ceremonial ewer in the basin at the way shrine's center and proceed to the next way shrine.
So these initiates had to lug around a heavy pitcher of water. Marvelous. How long would they have to do that?
Well, once the initiate's enlightenment was complete, he'd bring the ewer to the Chantry's inner sanctum. Pouring the contents of the ewer into the sacred basin of the sanctum would allow him to enter for an audience with the Archcurate himself.
All that just to end up dumping it out? It makes no sense to me.
It's symbolic. I don't expect you to understand.
So, let's get this straight. We need to do all that nonsense to get into the temples so we can kill your brother and claim Oriel's bow.
I know how it all sounds. But if there was another way, I'd have done it long ago. The only way to get to my brother is by following in the initiate's footsteps and traveling from way shrine to way shrine, just as they did. The first lay at the end of Darkfall Passage, a cavern. There are 5 in total, spread far apart across the Chantry. Caves? Oh no. The Chantry encompasses far more than a few caves, as you'll soon discover. But before I send you on your way, you'll need the initiate's ewer. Once you've located a way shrine, there'll be a spectral prelate tending to it. They will allow you to draw the waters from the shrine's basin, as if you've been enlightened. This may be the last time we're able to converse. If you have any questions before you leave, I suggest you ask them. Otherwise, all I can do now is grant you my hopes for a safe journey. Questions? They're ghosts of the Snow Elf priests that tended the way shrines before being slaughtered by the Betrayed. Through the grace of Oriel, they were restored to their spectral form to enable them to continue their duties. I'm afraid in their current form, they still believe the Chantry to be an active center of worship. They won't respond to you in any way other than believing that you're an initiate and you're undertaking the journey to the inner sanctum. This is, or was, the epicenter of our religion. Most of the Snow Elf people worshipped Auriel. The chantry was constructed near the beginning of the First Era to provide a retreat for those that wished to become enlightened. Our empire had temples to some of the other deities. Trinimac, Sirabane, Yffrey, and Finister rounded out the rest. But those temples paled in comparison to the glory of the chantry and its way shrines. Oh yes, they were an important part of the process here. They represented the steps the initiates took on the path to total enlightenment. Sadly, the magic used to construct these wonders were lost long before I arrived here. We were once a wealthy and prosperous society that occupied a portion of Skyrim. Unfortunately, we were constantly at war with the Nords, who claimed the land as their ancestral home. In a manner of speaking, we had always maintained an uneasy alliance with the underground-dwelling dwarves, and when faced with extinction, we turned to them for help. Surprisingly, they agreed to protect us, but demanded a terrible price: the blinding of our race. There were splinter groups that resisted the agreement, and even some that sought alternate alliances. But when it was all said and done, those elves were either slaughtered, vanished, or gave up and took the dwarves' bargain. I've often asked myself that very same question. The blinding of my race was supposedly accomplished with a toxin, certainly not enough to devolve them into the sad and twisted beings they've become. The chantry is quite isolated, so it took some time for word of the dwarves' offer to reach us here. By the time the compact had been completed, it was too late for us to even attempt to intervene. Correct. We only numbered perhaps 100 at the time, so our presence remained a secret to the dwarves and the Nords. Ironically, our undoing came at the hands of our own people. Yes, they swarmed the chantry in vast numbers until we were completely overrun. We never really stood a chance. I assumed that the Archcurate was corrupted by them when they found a way to breach the inner sanctum. Verther and myself are the only two snow elves that remain. May Auriel watch over you.
That wasn't as unpleasant as I thought it would be. Where'd you come from? Done and done. Looks like these Falmer are here to stay. I knew I heard something. chains and traps. Be careful here. Whatever's on the other side of this. Where'd you come from? That'll teach you. Almost doesn't even look real, you know? I think that's another way shrine there. Here we go.
Welcome, Initiate. This is the Way Shrine of Illumination. Are you prepared to honor the mantras of Ariel and fill your vessel with his enlightenment? Then behold Ariel's gift, my child. May it light your path as you seek tranquility within the inner sanctum.
Alright guys, I'm gonna see this and yeah, this is this. If you guys like this video, please leave a thumbs up, okay? Peace out.